What's going on, guys? My name is Ryan Snod, it rhymes with odd, and welcome to another video. This week we're talking about how to set up a process for your videography business. I'm going to break down my process and how I suggest a lot of solo freelancers start out when they try and put their process on paper. It's not the only way to do things, but I found this is a very good way to help automate a lot of your business and make sure that you're not wasting a bunch of time on clients that don't have the budget for you or projects that you're not actually going to shoot. So a lot of videographers are under the assumption that videography only has three main steps, which is pre-production or scripting, production, which is shooting, and post-production, which is editing, color, and all that type of stuff. But if you want to build a true business around what you're doing, you want to make sure that there are multiple steps before and after that process that get people comfortable with you, iron out the pricing, figuring out how you deliver the files and get revisions and all that type of stuff. The first step in this process is going to be an inquiry. So when somebody reaches out directly to you via email, DM, or phone call. There's a bunch of things that happen before this in terms of marketing and sales, which we'll talk about in other lessons. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to focus on when somebody directly reaches out to you about shooting a video. The best way to go about your inquiry process is to have a place that you send all the people that reach out to you, whether it's a Facebook message, a DM on Instagram, Twitter, an email, a phone call, whatever it is. Direct all of your people to one central location. This is also really great for you to manage projects because then you have one place that you're going and you don't have to go back and remember, oh wait, did they message me on Facebook or did they DM me on Instagram or something like that? It just sends everybody to one central place. For these general inquiries, I always recommend to people have it to their website, so it's more of a branded location. You can control that experience and you can funnel all those people directly to your email that you're using for your service provider. So after they reach out through an email, DM, or phone call, the second step is the questionnaire. The questionnaire is vital to making sure that you're not wasting time on prospects that don't have the budget, time, or effort to put into a video with you. And it's a very, very good step to implement in your own process. The first reason why I do this is to make sure that I can qualify my prospects. I would spend a ton of time emailing back and forth and doing phone calls with people that weren't qualified prospects and people that I ultimately was not a good fit for and did not end up shooting with them at all. The second reason of having a questionnaire is that it weeds out the people that are just price shopping. So chances are if somebody is shopping around for a videographer and they're looking at different people, they're not going to take the time to fill out your questionnaire and answer some of the basic questions about their project. So again, this just helps get qualified prospects in your inbox and you're not wasting time with people that are just price shoppers or people that are just trying to look around for the best deal. Now, if you're using your website for that central place that you send people for an inquiry, you can bake that questionnaire into the contact button of your website. I use Wix for my website, and there's plenty of different options and choices for setting up a form. So when the email comes to your inbox through your website, you will have all the criteria that people filled out in that questionnaire. So you can just take those questions from the questionnaire and put it on your form on the contact page of your website, and you just knocked out the first two steps in this entire process without having to actually deal with the people that reach out to you. So after the questionnaire, that is when you would want to book a discovery call or discovery meeting. Now, depending if the prospect is local to you, you can meet them in person, which is what I suggest a lot of people do. Anytime that you get FaceTime with a prospect, it shows that they are truly invested and interested in working with you. A lot of people make the really fatal mistake of trying to sell on the phone or in person when they meet someone, and really you need to feel it out and see if they're a good fit for you. So rather than selling on the spot, what I like to do is take all the information that I get in that discovery meeting or that discovery call and put together a formal proposal. With these bigger decisions, usually people want to stew on them for a day or two, or they have to get buy-in from, an owner of a company or director of marketing or something like that. So having a formal proposal in place that you send a day or two after that call will really make all the difference. Now, you can do this via email, and it doesn't have to look super slick in the beginning, but as you start to evolve your process, it's nice to have kind of a look and feel for your proposals, usually with your company logo on it or company colors, and making it look a little bit more branded and formalized. Also in that proposal, make sure to put some legal copy, including your terms of payment, so people know how you prefer to receive payment. And then that's something that you can always go back on if the deal goes bad at some point later in the process. You can always go back and say, hey, make sure to check that initial proposal that I sent. It outlines all of my payment details and the rights to the video and all that type of stuff. Now, after you send your proposal, assuming that the client wants to move forward with you, you will get a formalized approval. Now, depending on the client, it can be a phone call, but usually it's just an email that says, yes, let's move forward. That's when you need to send them your contract and your initial deposit invoice. There's so many people that bypass this step and then have a ton of problems down the road where people aren't paying up front, or they have to wait months and months to get paid, or worst case scenario, you deliver a video to them and then they don't pay you at all. Make sure you do not skip this step. Send a formalized contract and a formalized invoice for that 50% upfront deposit. The reason being because then if for whatever reason they back out or you get halfway through the video and something goes awry, you at least got a little bit of money up front to kind of cover your initial expenses. My payment terms are always the same. It's 50% up front and then net 30 terms, which means that the person has 30 days after they receive the invoice to pay it in full. And then the other part of this contract agreement and invoice step in the process is that I refuse to start scripting or putting any type of storyboard together or starting to really work on this project until I get that initial invoice. And again, guys, you will have to stick to your guns on this process and not let people abuse your time and skills, and just say, hey, it's a part of my policy. If you want me to get a little quicker into the scripting and the, pre-production process of this video, make sure to pay that invoice right away, and then once I get that payment, I will start working. I promise if you just take this little step and show some poise and hold on to your guns a little bit, this will save a lot of the problems that you would have down the road in terms of legal issues and all that type of stuff. Now, I usually send the formalized contract and deposit invoice through QuickBooks. QuickBooks has a really good function that I use where I can just put the estimate together. So I usually have the contract attached in there. People need to sign it and return it to me via email, and then they just need to pay the invoice via that email on QuickBooks. You don't have to use QuickBooks, but it's a really good tool to get your money faster, and I found that I can usually get my initial deposits paid probably about 2 to 3 times faster if I send them in that digital format. So as you'll notice, I try to use software as much as I can throughout this process, whether it's the initial inquiry, it's sending a questionnaire, it's just automating as much as I can to use software to track it and make this process as seamless as possible. So now that we have the contract approved, they've paid the initial invoice, now we're gonna move into the fun stuff, which is the pre-production and the scripting of this video. I always suggest scripting every single one of your videos, especially if it's a paid gig, just so the client understands what it is that we're gonna be having on camera, and it's very clear to them what to expect after you start editing. Usually I try and get this done as quickly as possible and then get either storyboards or a scope of what the video will look like to the client. After I get the script put together, I like to send it to the client to get approval before we start shooting. Again, this is another non-required step, but something that I really encourage you guys to do, just because, again, if you go out and you shoot the video and you get into post and you start editing it and stuff like that, and you send the first draft over to the client and they're like, this is not what we expected, we need to go reshoot, it just solves a lot of those problems and kind of avoids any of those issues down the road. So once scripts are approved and everything is good to go, then you want to schedule your shoot and actually go and shoot the project. So what I like to do after shooting it is directly come to my home office and offload all of my footage onto my backup drive and my working drive. So the second you get back to your desk, you're making sure that you have 2 copies of the files just in case something corrupts or something went wrong. And then after you've gotten all that footage offloaded onto your hard drives, then you're going to start to begin putting the edit together. What I like to do is work a project from the audio layers up, so I usually lay a music bed track down, then I start piecing together the main story, layering in B-roll, putting sound effects, putting transitions, and that type of thing. So then I take that rough cut and I send it to the client for a review. Now what I like to use is a tool called Whipster, which you guys also get a discount on. Whipster is really nice because you can upload the videos directly in there, and then people can leave comments on the videos in that review process and make it really, really easy for you to see what part at what point, and they can kind of identify certain things or specifics within the video. So the great thing about sending it through Whipster is that you could also watermark the video if you aren't going to send it to them until they actually pay the final invoice. But I typically just send the final video over, and then once I see that they have downloaded the video, then I go into QuickBooks and send that final invoice payment to their email. So then you're paid and the project's done, and it should all be done, right? You're just like, whew, done. Whoo, I can take a break. Wrong. There are more steps to this process. Next phase, after the final invoice is paid and the project's done, then I move on to the publishing and promoting the project on all social media platforms. This includes Vimeo, your website portfolio, a Facebook page if you have it, Instagram, Twitter, and to your email list of past customers. That's really the beauty of what we do as videographers, is that we can take our final work and use it as content on our social media to push out to different people. After I published everything on all of my social media, my website, Vimeo, and all that type of stuff, then I go into my Google Calendar, and 2 months after the project is completed, I put a reminder to touch base with that client. I do this for 2 reasons. One is so that I can follow up with the project and make sure that they are satisfied with the video and that they're getting the results that they expected. And 2, it tees me up for referral business or getting kind of praised if it was a really good video. So this is where I get most of my testimonials and case studies from current clients, is by just following up and making sure that the videos are doing well. One of my really good case studies that I use all the time is a Kickstarter video that I shot for Flowbody, where in 1 month we took it from hitting their sales goal of $15,000 in the first 12 hours to driving $47,000 in sales in 28 days. And the good thing was I just reached out to the client and said, hey, how's the Kickstarter campaign going? Is the video performing well? And is there anything that I can help you with? So this is great for really good news, and it's also really good for grabbing bad news early. And if the client is not happy or satisfied with your work that you're doing, you can confront that right away and not leave them to go out into the world and bash your name and say he's so bad at shooting or whatever it is, or even going on your Google reviews and just giving you a terrible review. So this kind of helps do that customer service bit of it. It helps get more repeat business, it helps you get testimonials, and is definitely something that you do not want to skip in this process. So after you followed up, everything's good, the project's over, the last thing that I always do is take that person's lead information and put them into your email list. This just allows this client to continue to see your projects over time while you continue to share more and more of your portfolio as you complete more projects. You really want to try and cater to those current clients and making them as happy as possible and staying in front of them as constantly as you can, because you're about 50% more likely to book business with people that have already bought from you and know how that process works and trust and enjoy your work already. So many people want to go out and hunt for new clients and new prospects, but really there's a treasure trove of people that you've already worked with that are paying clients in the past that could be continual paying clients in the future. If you guys want to get more business tips just like this, make sure to go check out my free 1-hour training on the 9 biggest mistakes of solo videography. So if you have a freelance videography business or you're wanting to start one soon, make sure to go check out that training. It's 100% for free, and we can get you guys set up with some more business knowledge to get you armed and ready to take on the next step in your business. That about does it for me, guys. My name is Ryan Snod. It rhymes with odd, and I'll see you in next week's video. Peace!